What's happening, everybody? Ooh, I'm having a bad hair day, but I'm going to share my Black History 365 moment anyway. So, what I want to talk about today, a family reunion. Yes, Black family reunions. Why do we have them? You ever ask white people, when's the last time y'all went to a family reunion? And they give you that kind of, well, my sister came over last summer, and they are just not relating to what we're doing. Well, there's some history behind it, and let's talk about it. So, family reunions really got their start at the end of Black folks' enslavement. The enslavers and human traffickers would often break up families and break up friendships and sell folks, and people would be split all over the place. So after freedom came, and even sometimes during that time when families were sold and someone would get free, they would go to reunite with their family members. Enslavers acted like we were animals without any sense of family and well-being and deep love and responsibility. And so selling us off to different folks miles and miles away, knowing that we would never see our children, our friends, our mothers again, just wasn't a big deal to them. They didn't get it. They didn't see Black people as being like them and having those kind of family bonds, but we always had them. And so when we were able to, we sought out those people who had meaning in our lives and we reunited with them. We had reunions with them. And so that was one of the major things that really drove us to see one another. So let me give you a little story in there. My grandmother would talk about her grandmother who had been enslaved in Northeast Mississippi, getting on her horse maybe every other year or so, riding side saddle. She would have baked for a couple of weeks ahead of time and would fill these bags that she had on her horse with baked goods, with gifts that she made, with lace, with different things that she had made by hand. And she would get on that horse. They would all see her off, and she would ride. And we don't know how long she would ride, but we know it was a very long ride. And she would reunite with family members, with friends that she'd been enslaved with, and she would go to see them. It probably wasn't very far when I think about it, because they were all in that Northeast Mississippi area. And so what felt like riding away for days to my grandmother probably was not going very far. Probably could have still been in the county, but it would take her a while on her horse to get there. And she would go and meet with these people that were her family, her extended family. That's a lot of the kinship ties that we have too. When we bring people in and we talk about our aunties and all of that, and people wonder why Black folks always calling folks who are not blood kids of them relatives. This is another reason why. This has been a tradition for us forever. And so family reunions are very, very important to us. I'm saddened sometimes when I see families not doing them. This is where our stories are told and retold. This is where my interest in genealogy came. It's why my deep knowledge and understanding of where we were even during slavery, how I can go back to where folks are buried that were born as early as 1835 in this country, because at those family reunions, that story was told. In my family, my mother and some cousins wrote a play that took us from when our great-great-great-grandfather was sold in Kentucky into Mississippi and what his life was like. And we tell this story to the generations. We honor him and his mother that died on the trail in Kentucky. And we tell our story, a generational story. And we used to do this every few years. And we are now starting to have family reunions again where we tell these stories so that we don't have grandkids who say they don't know who their grandmothers were, or their great-grandmothers were, or where they came from. It is our voices. It is our reuniting at these family reunions that keep our stories alive. It is particularly important to talk about this right now during a time when it is clear that our history is there's an attempt to erase our history, that make sure it's not in the history books, make sure our children aren't educated enough, make sure they are starving and not interested in anything but just surviving. But our survival story is the strength of us. What we've overcome says we can do it again. So if you've got a family reunion that you've been putting off for a while, call your peeps. Get together this summer, build your strength, build your resilience, build your love, and enjoy this summer's family reunion.